Hi, welcome to OLP 365. This is Lou coming at you again. I hope you guys had a chance to go through some of the videos and got your notebook, your journal, and your planner. We're starting to pick up speed now because I have the schedule for the other 12 paths, and I think we started with the personal development, and I think we did some emotional intelligence. Now we're going to start talking about your finances, okay? So we want to start with the finances, then we want to add some goal setting in. We want to get to the health, and then these paths will start to pick up momentum and they'll start to intersect with other elements of the 12 paths, and then we'll be off and running, okay? So today I want to talk to you about your personal financial plan. Okay, we refer to it as the as your personal finances. All right, probably one of the best methods to create wealth. And if you don't have a financial plan, you're just spinning your wheels. Okay, and many people have problems because they don't have a plan. And if you have a plan, it's going to be a lot easier to plan your wealth. So a lot of people are walking around without realizing they have a hole in their wallet. And we're going to talk to you about how to plug those holes up. And when you leave here, you'll have probably a 7-step quick guide start that you can start implementing today, immediately. And then you'll start to see you'll see your finances start to change. Okay, so let's get started. I remember when I was living paycheck to paycheck, and that was because I didn't have a plan. And the income came in, and I spent it on the bills, food, whatnot, and I didn't have enough to cover other expenses, and now I'm juggling. So a lot of you do the same thing. And it never changed until I actually went to the bookstore and bought something on personal finances. And there were such easy steps that I didn't even know existed. And then when I started implementing them, things got a lot easier. So the benefit of knowing your personal finances and having a financial plan is you're able to plan for emergencies, less stress because you know you got all your bills covered, and you can actually budget for fun. I don't advocate that all your money should be spent just on your bills. You're working, you should have some discretionary income to go to a movie, take the kids to Disneyland, go to the beach, whatever you want to do, take a vacation. But all this needs to work within a plan. So this will also be a catalyst to start building your wealth. And you'll see, once you understand the plan and you have a financial plan, then you'll start to work it. You are in control of your finances. Right now, too many people are not in control of their finances. So most people don't even know they're walking around with a hole in their wallet, and they're leaking out money everywhere. And it can come in the form of eating out, or subscriptions you didn't know you had, or paying for things that you allowed to lapse, so you paid more for it. I remember one time I had to pay for my DMV tags, and if I sent it in October, I only had to pay $150, but I waited. And I sent it in 2 months later, and I had to pay $380. Okay, so that's a big chunk. And that's the way a lot of the banks and interest and compounding and subscription fees and late fees, everybody's out there trying to get your dollar. And you're helping them when you don't understand how it works. So we're going to talk about that today. The first thing you need to understand is you need to know your numbers. There's 5 numbers that you got to be concerned with: your income, your expenses, your cash flow, your debt, and your savings. We're going to go through each one of those. So your income, it's all income: discretionary income, side hustle income, bonus income. You got to know your income. You have to know how much you're bringing in on a regular basis. And then you want to understand your expenses. How much is going out? You have fixed expenses and you have discretionary expenses. You have hidden expenses and you have activities. So you want to know what all those are. Your rent, utilities, those are all fixed. You got to pay those monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever the case may be. Discretionary expenses is if you don't pack a lunch, you buy your lunch. Or you go to Starbucks and you buy coffee instead of making coffee in a thermos and taking it with you. So those are the kind of expenses that you want to know are going out. So income, that's money coming in. Expenses is what you're putting out. And then you need to understand this concept called cash flow. And all you do is you subtract your expenses from your income, and that gives you cash flow. That's how much money you have to use at your discretion, okay? Very important. Let me repeat that. That's where you find your income minus your expenses. So if you bring in $4,000 a month and your expenses are $3,000 a month, then your cash flow is $1,000 a month. So now you know income, expenses, and cash flow. The other number you need to concern yourself with is debt, okay? And debt, to me, debt is debt. They call it good debt, bad debt. It's debt. You have to pay it back. What you want to understand about debt, though, is what I said earlier. If you don't pay it on time, there's usually a late fee or an interest charge or some other way to get your money more than what they're supposed to get. And you're helping them by not keeping track of all these things. So good debt, some people call it education. If you have kids, like I remember when my sons were small, I had to pay for their braces. I had twins, so I had to buy 2 sets. And that was about, I don't know, $5,000 a piece. Well, it was for their teeth, so some people would say that's good debt. I still called it debt. Bad debt is, say if you take a vacation, don't have the money, you put on your credit card, that's considered a bad debt. Well, you still got to pay it back. So to me, that's debt. Now, if you want to categorize it in terms of good debt, bad debt, be my guest. I call debt, debt. Has to be paid off. What you want to know about debt, though, is the interest. And we're going to talk about this in another video because you really got to get deep into it. Understanding interest, how they calculate it, how it works, what it means. A lot of people don't know that 12% interest means you're paying 12 cents for every dollar you borrowed. So you're paying back $1 plus 12 cents. Doesn't sound like much, but when you have $30,000 outstanding, that's a pretty good chunk of money that they're charging you. So understanding that. And then you want to know your savings. And this is probably one of the biggest downfalls of people is they don't have any savings. They usually use their cash flow as savings. When I pay all the debts, whatever's left, I put in a savings account. That's the wrong approach, okay? And I'm going to emphasize that again. That is the wrong approach. When you get a paycheck, 10 to 20% off the top goes into savings. When you come across any kind of discretionary income, side hustle income, if you make a bet and win, any of that, 10 to 20%, depending on what your budget can allow, off the top goes into a savings account. And then you'll be amazed at how much you're saving. So say if you, let's just say you put $1,000 a month in a savings account off the top before you pay your bills or do anything else. That's $12,000 in 1 year. Okay, let me repeat that. That's $12,000. That should cover your 3-month emergency fund that people talk about. Or that should cover some of your credit card debt, to pay it off and get rid of it so you're not paying the interest. Or that's when people say you should start investing some money. A lot of people say, I don't have any money to invest. Well, you just have $12,000. Now you're ready for the next phase of investment. So all these things work together. These 5 numbers, you need to know them. I know my numbers. And so you need to know yours. You need to know how much income you're bringing in. You need to know what your expenses are. You need to know your cash flow. You need to know your debt, and you need to know your savings. Okay, so those are the 5 numbers that you have to start working now. So those of you who have your notebook, you should be writing this down in your financial section. So open up to your financial section and write those numbers down. Okay, you can rewind the video to catch those numbers again. And then as we go through, I'm going to show you some of the techniques you can use. I use a budget planner, and don't let the word budget throw you off, okay? It's not really what you think, but I keep track of all my numbers in that book monthly, and I'm able to finagle and switch things and work things around so it works out in my favor. Okay, let me repeat that. I learned how to work all these numbers, all these debts, so that it works out in my favor. If you're not doing that, all these numbers that you're not aware of are working out in the bank's favor. All the subscriptions that you're signed up for, you're not aware of. Everybody's taking your dollar and you're not aware of it. That's why when I started the video, I said people have a hole in their wallet and don't even know it. Okay? So we're going to plug those up. By knowing these numbers, that's a start, a big start. So when you have these numbers under control, now you're able to take control of your finances, and you want to start doing what's called tracking your spending. This is where you get yourself a spending book. You can use a notebook. They're online apps. I like the manual books. I write in the manual books. And what I do there is I track every dollar that I send out. And I did something a few months back, and I had pages of just money going out, money going out, money going out. So I started tracking. And once I started tracking, then I could see where the leaks were. I go, wow, I'm spending almost $200 to $300 eating out. But you don't know that while you're eating out. You just think, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go there tomorrow. And you're at another restaurant, and next thing you know, you're down for $180. Okay? And it adds up just that fast. If you're doing Starbucks, I don't know what they're charging now, $5, $6 a cup of coffee. Well, if you do that every day, 5 days, that's $30, $40. That's a hole, major hole. That's close to $400 or $500 a year. That's money, okay? So I like to use manual tracking, but they have a bunch of apps. You can go online and check them out. I really can't recommend any because I don't use them. I like the tracking. I use the receipts. I keep the receipts and then I track them. And what happens is I'm able to analyze where my money's going, where the dollars are going. And when you can see that, that's where you can start to make adjustments. Like I was eating out too much. So I started packing a lunch. Saved myself $600 that year. Eating out. I started realizing, hey, I'm eating out almost three times a week. I'm going to cut that down to 1 time a week. Saved another $500-$600. That's like $1,200, close to $1,000 I had for the year. Those are the holes, the leaks in my wallet. And I started plugging them up. And that money went into my savings account. So now my savings is starting to grow. So once you understand this, now you're in control of your finances. You can decide where your dollar is going to go. And then the other thing it helps you do is you're able to discover your spending patterns when you track. So what I'm going to recommend is to all the viewers that you get some kind of a tracking app and you track your spending. All right, start weekly, just start tracking. And do that for like 3 months. Just track it. Don't worry about where it's going. Just track it so you can see it. And then you'll start to look at it monthly and you'll start to see patterns emerge. And I call those spending patterns. And you say, hey, I noticed that I spend $400 a month on gasoline. I spent, since I made this correction, I'm only spending $150 eating out as opposed to $380. So now you're starting to see your spending patterns and you can make adjustments. You're able to analyze your finances. That's the key, being able to analyze your finances. We're not even talking about a financial planner that's going to help you set up AT&T stock and municipal bonds and real estate and ETFs. We're not even there. If you can't even handle these numbers, you don't want to get involved with a financial planner yet. Okay? You want to have your finances under control, and then you can start to make that leap. So when you have these spending patterns tracked, you're able to start creating categories. Now that's how I create my budget, is by my spending patterns. I'm like spending gas, food, mortgage, auto insurance. So now I can start to send the money that I need to those areas. And I notice that my cash flow is getting bigger and bigger because I'm only budgeting the money to those dollars. I'm sending the dollars to those categories for that particular budget based on my spending patterns. Don't just create a budget and say, okay, I'm going to spend $400 for food. You're not tracking it right. You might need 500. You might need 200. You don't know that. Okay? So this will really help you do that. When you start setting a budget, now I have a budget and it works out very well because I know, and I'm able to balance my budget every month by saying, okay, I spent this amount and now let me go pay that. That's covered. And I have this amount in my cash flow. Now I can direct this cash flow at one of those credit cards. Okay? There's a gentleman named Dave Ramsey. He's real prominent on the personal finance scene. And he calls paying off methods Snowball, Avalanche, and whatever. So look him up. Get his book. I think he has a few of them. Or look at his channel. He has some good advice there. And that's kind of what I do. I look at it and I say, okay, my cash flow is $1,200. I got a credit card here for $1,800. Let me knock out. I had $200 already budgeted to kick that down, but I got an extra $1,200 in cash flow. Let me take $600 more and cut that down. By next month, I'll pay that one off. So now the money I was using for that will go to another credit card and I'll pay that one off. And we'll talk about this in greater detail as we get into attacking debt. But right now, I just want you to know your basic 5 numbers. And they are income, expenses, cash flow, debt, and savings. Okay? So write that in your notebook. Memorize that. Those are the numbers you want to take control of now. Right now. And then you want to start tracking your spending. Just track it wherever it's going. Okay? And then you're able to create your categories based on that. Okay? Once you set your budget, then it's easy to start categorizing the money. As a matter of fact, let me pause this camera and I'm going to get my budget book for you. Okay. Came back, went to the office and got my budget book. It even says that. I think I got this on Amazon. Okay, so there's no reason why you can't do it. And it's set up. Let me adjust this chair. And it's set up in its own format. I just kind of rearranged it. But I wrote down all the years, the months and the years. And this is what July looked like. Look at all that. That's massive spending. Crazy. Couldn't tell you what it was, where it went. So I said, I need to get control of this. So the next month, I started tracking. And this is what that next month looked like. Not as crazy, but just as bad. So I started taking track of it. As you can see, patterns are starting to emerge. Categories are starting to form. And now look at my spending. Now it's coming under control. And so here I am now. And as you can see now, I'm starting to create categories. And now I'm creating another financial pattern. Now I'm getting I'm gaining real control of my finances now. And you can see even the categories now. I'm starting to budget the categories, how I'm spending. No longer just throwing it all out there. And you can see I got little budget boxes. So I know exactly how much is going out now. And then these are the credit cards that I'm paying. So I'm aware of what needs to get paid off. You can see a lot of them are zeroed out, zeroed out, zeroed out. As they get zeroed out, whatever I budgeted for them, I attack the other one, and that gets zeroed out. And budget, your credit card budget is going to keep rolling because you're spending. And now I started creating categories for my spending now. As you can see now, from the first mess, now I'm under control and I'm actually working this budget, making money. And now here we are, starting fresh. And I do this every year. And as you can see, look, less spending. There's less spending going on. That means I have more cash flow, more savings. So money is staying in my pocket. Okay? And now I'm here starting January 2025. Look at the difference. Clean. Okay? So I use this. You're going to need to get one. And what I do is I keep all my receipts and then immediately I make it a habit and I track it. Okay? So once you get that going on, now you're in control. And another system that works is the envelope system. That was my first method. I learned that in a book years ago, where I would say, okay, this amount of money goes into my rent. This amount of money goes into my food. So I had envelopes. When I went shopping, I just took my food envelope and my budget was in there and I made sure to stay within my budget. Same thing with the rent, utilities. And then I got a little more sophisticated. I tried the computer apps, but they didn't work for me. They were disjointed. I couldn't really just get control of it. This works best. Manual. I do better when I write. I do better when I track that way, okay? So once you have control of your finances now, that is your financial plan. A financial plan isn't just somebody that has real estate, diamonds, municipal bonds. That can be a financial plan, but your first financial plan is this. This is your first financial plan, and you're in control of it. Now, down the road, we'll talk about finances and we'll talk about how to pay off debt. We'll talk about how to track your finances so that you can actually manage it. You can actually manipulate it so that you increase your savings. You can actually increase or manipulate your food budget and say, hey, I'm spending $400 a month on food. I'm going to take $50 and put that in savings from the food budget, and I'm going to live on $350 a month on food. You'll be surprised. You cut out the potato chips You cut out the beef jerky. You cut out the orange juice. But you made another $600, $700 at the end of the year. Okay? Now you have $15,000 saved up. And that's what you want to do with your money. Because now that $1,500 next year, that $15,000, can be used for investments. Now you put those away and leave them there. And if you can do $15,000 this year, that means you can do $15,000 next year. Now your investments are growing. You'll have $30,000 invested somewhere. And it's that simple. Now, if you get a little more aggressive, take on another side hustle or get a part-time job, all that money you're getting from that part-time job can go into savings. You'll have close to $15,000 to $25,000 saved up in combination with your spending budget, your tracking, knowing your numbers, and your savings. Now you're in control. And you can still purchase what you need. Okay, if you need a computer, you're going to have the finances to go buy it. If you get a car emergency, you got to replace the transmission, you'll have the money in the savings to do that. So you'll start to see how your life is starting to get a lot smoother, a lot more beneficial and lucrative by following this method. Okay? So now you understand that. Now you can start budgeting for fun. If you're working, there's no reason why you shouldn't be participating in what one of the paths is called repose, relax, recharging. You should do something once a week, even if it's just going to the park for a picnic or the beach. You should do something once a month. I like to plan at least one weekend, 3-day getaway, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, a month, somewhere. Don't know where, but somewhere. And you should have 1 to 2 vacations a year. Let me repeat that. 1 to 2 vacations a year. Now, they don't always have to be Europe. They can be Colorado. They can be Oregon. They can be New York. Yeah, they can be simple little getaways domestically. But if you have the time and you budget it correctly, there's no reason why you can't take a 10-day vacation to Thailand. And when you start becoming aware of money and budget, then you'll know that in Thailand, $5 goes a long, long way. So you're not spending $500. You're only spending $200 because you get more for your money in some of these countries. So now you're saving more money. Now you're starting to live, okay? I call it budget for fun. You want to budget for fun. If you want to buy a boat, save up for that, budget. Cut out some of your food, cut out some of your discretionary fund, and start budgeting that. So when people say, why aren't you doing that anymore? Oh, because I'm going to buy a boat. I need $3,000 more and I can buy that boat. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to buy a bicycle, same game. You want to save for it, budget it, cut down some of your food budget, or turn the lights off at home and you'll see your light budget go down or your electrical budget go down. There's $75 that goes towards your bike. You are now in control of your finances. And that's what I want to stress, okay? If you do this, you'll see in a year's time. Remember, this is OLP 365, 1 year. In a year's time, you'll be in a completely different financial landscape than you are now. All right? So let's recap. There's a lot of people having trouble with their finances, and that's because they don't have a plan. We just talked about a financial plan right now. Your little financial plan. Easy financial plan. Know your numbers. They don't know their numbers. So that's going to cause problems for them. They don't track spending. They have no idea where the holes are. The hole in the wallet, the leaks. They have no idea. Okay? Create a budget based on your spending plans, because now you can analyze that budget and you can start shaving off that budget to save for your bike, your boat, your vacation. And then the other thing is Savings. Remember, 10 to 20% of any dollar. Paycheck, side hustle, part-time job, winnings, whatever the case is, goes into savings. That's the habit you got to get into. As soon as I get paid, 20% goes right into the bank. I don't even look at it. And I make my bills work and my utilities work based off what's available. Okay? You can do the same thing. So remember, pay yourself first. This is your financial plan, OLP 365. We're going to talk about writing a budget. We're going to talk about how to manipulate some of these numbers. We're going to talk about interest so you understand how to work it. And then you want to start working these numbers. Once you do that, you're going to be on your way to creating wealth, building wealth, and you're going to be in a completely different place next year. Any questions? Drop them in the comment. Share this video with people who you know can use it. And then I'll see you in the next video. Okay? Thanks for stopping by. Look forward to talking to you again. This is Lou signing off. Have a good day.